Welcome to the Dynatorch Video Training Guide. This series of videos is designed to help a new user get started using CNC plasma cutting systems. It is divided into separate videos that cover the steps required to draw, convert, nest, and finally run the cutting table. The first video will cover basic drawing techniques used in CAD. Specifically, we will be using ProgeCAD, which is almost identical to AutoCAD. To begin, you need to draw what you want to cut. Sketch programs like Corel or Cutting Shop are best used for artwork type drawings. CAD is much better for drawing machine parts or anything that requires exact dimensions. In addition, CAD will produce clean drawings with no breaks or overlapping lines. Arcs will be arcs and not a series of short lines like Corel does. All CAD systems utilize small icon boxes that represent tools. Each set of tools is in a tool bar. Think of this as a drawer in your toolbox. One for draw tools, one for modify tools, one for zoom and view tools, etc. These toolbars can be moved around your screen and located in any way that makes sense to you. I have located my draw tools on the left, modify on top, and dimensioning on the right. To start, this is the basic part I will be drawing. It can be done using a wide variety of methods, so be aware that this is only one of many ways to draw. I will be using the most common tools only to make this simple. Start by selecting a blank sheet for a new drawing. Then we will place a line for the bottom. We can start anywhere on the screen, but it is a good practice to use the origin as your zero starting point. That is, the x equals 0 and y equals 0, or lower left corner of your drawing. This will make sense later when you get used to running the machine. Select Line. Then enter the first point manually as 0, 0 at the bottom of the screen in the instruction box. You must enter numbers for both x and y, separated by a comma. The x-axis is across the bottom while the y is up and down, just like your machine. Manually enter the second point as 12, 0, or 12 inches in the x-axis and still at 0 in the y-axis. Press Escape to end this line here. If you lose track of the drawing at any point, select Zoom and Extents to zoom to the size of what has been drawn. Start a second line using this line as a reference. Select Line. Then use your snap to capture the left side of the line you just drew. If your snaps are not on, see the Help section and turn on Endpoint, Midpoint, Quadrant, Center, and Intersection as usual snap points. It's very handy. Now we will enter the next point as x equals 0 and y equals 6. That is 0, 6. We can continue this line by entering the next point 12 inches to the right as 12, 6. For the last point, we will enter it another way to show you another method. Instead of entering the coordinates from 0, 0, or the origin, we will just move relative from the last point down 6 inches. To do so, we will start with the command as an @ symbol. Enter @ 0, -6, indicating relative coordinates. That is 6 inches down from where we were our last point and 0 inches left or right. We now have the box forming the outside. The center slot will start as a rectangle. Select Rectangle. Now enter the first point as 3, 2 and the second point as @ 6, 2, or a relative point. In order to break this rectangle into lines, select Explode. Then left-click on the rectangle and then right-click to explode the part into lines. Now we add a circle to the left by selecting Circle. Click on the midpoint on the left line and then the top corner of the rectangle. We will trim away the unwanted part of the circle. Select Trim from the Modify group, then select the left line of the rectangle as the trimming object. Left-click on it, then right-click to end the selection. Then select the right side of the circle to trim it away. Now, left click on the line we used to trim and click Erase to do away with it. Extend works the same way. On the right side, we will use an arc. Select Arc. Select the start point at the bottom right of the rectangle. Then the next point will be the center, so enter CE at the bottom, reading the prompt. Then click on the midpoint of the line. Then select the upper right corner of the rectangle to finish the arc. Delete the line on the right the same way as we did before. Left click, then Erase, or press Delete on the keyboard. Now we want to place some circles for holes. We will construct lines offset from the edges to help locate the holes. Select the Offset tool. Enter the distance as 0.75 or 3/4 inch in the instruction bar at the bottom. Select the bottom line and then move up and click, creating a parallel line 3/4 inch up. Select the left line and click to the right. Repeat for the top and right sides. We now have our construction lines. Now select Circle. Using the snaps, click on the intersection of the lower left lines. Then enter the circle radius, or 1/2 the diameter, as 0.25 inches. Repeat in the upper left. Repeat on the upper right, but this time we will enter the diameter. When ready to enter the radius, type D for diameter and enter. Then enter the diameter as 0.5 inches. Repeat for the lower right, but notice that if you do not change the diameter or radius, it keeps the last value. Just right-click and the circle will be made to the last size. Now select all of the construction lines and then erase or press Delete on the keyboard. Now we will fillet the corners, 1/2 inch. Select Fillet, enter R for radius, and type in the radius as 0.5 inches. Click Fillet again and note that the radius is correct. Click on the first line and then the second line. This will trim and create the fillet. Right-click to repeat the command and repeat all 4 corners. You can use Zoom In plus and Zoom Out minus, or a box to zoom and move in and out. Zoom Extents will zoom back to the size of the object. All done. Let's save it. Click Save As. Select DXF as the file type and enter a name. Make sure you know where you're saving your files. It's very important, otherwise you will lose everything you draw, as a computer is a big memory place for files. That's it. Basic techniques to create parts using the most often used commands. You can go back and replay as often as you need. As I said earlier, there are many more ways to create drawings. As you become more familiar, you will try other commands and find out shortcuts that will speed things up.